This is a diagram of Open Collective money flows. I've made quite a detailed one to be able to talk through some of the different processes that go on after somebody gives a contribution and to understand a bit more about where the money goes as it's flowing through Open Collective. So this is called a Sankey diagram, and it diagrams basically from left to right, showing what happens to the money and how it's split off into different places and amounts. And I'll just talk it through. So this beginning is how much a contributor pays. So this is what happens when somebody is contributing money on the platform and they're trying to give money to a collective. And so right here you see the total they pay is $2,110. And that is a bit of a strange number because they're actually trying to give a $2,000 contribution to a collective, but there's some other things that are happening alongside that. So just to show you, a platform tip. So this is an optional donation that payers can make to Open Collective, the platform, when they're contributing to a collective. So this person has decided to give a $50 tip. And then also we've got here payment processor fees. So if they pay by credit card, that'll be going through Stripe, and Stripe charges a fee. So those two numbers are what's adding up to a less round number. So they put in 2,000 and then those two things come on top. And you can see platform tip flows then to Open Collective on the far side. So that's where the money's ultimately going, and we'll get there in a moment. And payment processor fees the same. So here we go. We've got a contribution of $2,000, and this actually goes becomes the actual contribution and goes to the collective, and you see the collective actually gets $1,800 and the host gets $200. So what's going on here is hosts are like umbrella entities that house collectives and basically provide the infrastructure for them, so a collective doesn't need its own legal entity and bank account and all that stuff. And most hosts charge a fee for the services they provide because there's a lot of actual costs associated with that, which we'll get into in a second. So $200 goes to the host, and here we go. Come on, we got $1,800 going to the actual collective. So let's follow that $1,800. Once it's in the collective's control, you can see they were saving $400. So this is a hypothetical example. $400 just stays in their balance because they decided to set it aside, and then they can spend whatever they want on expenses. And so this is an expense is what happens when a collective wants to spend money from its budget on Open Collective. And so these are just made up examples, but they're common expenses. So you can see they've got website hosting, they're paying workers for their hours and for various supplies, and this is to achieve the mission of the collective. And so if we look over here on the host side, so this $200 that went as a host fee, you can see what happens to that as well. So this is, okay, I'm just made this up, but $40 is staying in the host balance, and the other amounts, $160 is going to actually go towards host expenses, and so that's things like admin and accounting and stuff like that. You'll also see that there's a line here that goes to Open Collective, and that's because Open Collective's business model is it charges a small percentage, 15% of the host's fee, and that's because the platform enables the host to sort of build their business model on the platform. And if they're charging a fee to collectives, then Open Collective takes a small percentage of that fee. If the host charges zero fees, then Open Collective doesn't charge them anything, and the platform is free for them to use. But in this example, they're charging a fee, so a small percentage of that ends up back in Open Collective as well. And that goes to build the platform and make features for everyone and improvements for everyone. So I think we've covered everything. Yes. Payment processor fees, this may happen again when they're spending money, because sometimes, depending on the payout method they use, like for example Wise, which is a bank transfer service, charges a small fee, so just showing that in there for transparency of where all the money goes. So this is a little bit of more of a detailed picture of what happens to money that goes into Open Collective. We'll share the link to this, and it's interactive, so you can click into it and check it out.